ELP. I remember we were playing in San Francisco once, and we were there for a few nights, and turns out we had a day off. And my manager said to me, you know, Greg, rather than just sitting in the hotel, would you like to go and see Elvis? And I mean, I'd never seen Elvis. He never came over to Europe to perform. And of course, everyone, you know, we'd all heard about this this great legend, the King. And so I said I'd love to see it. You know, he was one of the great idols I had. And so okay, so he's on in Lake Tahoe. Why don't we just hop on a plane and go over and see him? So that's what we did. And I remember walking into this casino, and it was, I suppose, it was a room about this size, and it was one of those dining, like cabaret rooms, and they had these red leather seats. I think they call them banquette seats. You know, you sit, they've got two lamps on the table. And at first I was really shocked because it was quite a small place, and at that time we were playing in bigger places than that. And I thought, this can't be right, you know, because the great Elvis Presley in this sort of quite small room. And I suppose I was a bit frightened of seeing, you know, at the time they used to have these sort of fake acts, you know, fake drifters, where there was nobody in the original band at all. It was just the name and a load of standing people. And I thought, I wonder if I'm going to see a fake Elvis, you know. Anyway, we sat down and eventually the lights went down, and over the PA they started to play this music. It was from the film 2001. It's called Das Fake Zarathustra. Very difficult to pronounce, but it goes, I'm sure you know this. Bum, 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 bum. It's very dramatic music. And from behind the curtains, all of a sudden I heard a guitar. Bam, bam, ba, ba, bam, bam, ba, ba. And the curtains went back, and there was Elvis. And he was stood with his back to the audience. And they were shining a spotlight up at him, and his shadow was projected on the back wall. Must have been 30 or 40 feet tall. Unbelievably impressive sight. There he was, the King. You know? And all of a sudden he spun around. Going to a party in the county jail. And 3 women at the front just fainted. And you know, of course, the ushers rushed down and picked them up. And he only did about 30 seconds of jailhouse rock, and then he went into since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. And another woman fainted. And he only did 30 seconds of that, and then he went into You Ain't Nothing But a Hound Dog. And he'd only been on for 2 minutes, and the place looked like a vomited. You know, and I'll never forget, he came up, you know, after he finished the medley of songs, the audience just erupted in applause. And he went up to the microphone, and I'll never forget, he said, "Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really not worth it." And I thought then, what have you got to do to be worth it? You know? That was quite incredible. And anyway, after all that, he played a great show. It was very short. It went by like a flash. And in the end, he played one of these up-tempo songs. I think it was maybe Pope Salad Annie, one of those really up-tempo things. And eventually, he ran off the stage, and the band kept playing. And then after a while, they slowed down and they just disintegrated and stopped. And a voice came over the PA. I'm sure you know what I'm going to say. It said, "Ladies and gentlemen, Elvis has left the building." And as they said it, as this voice said it, they switched the house lights on, the fluorescent white house lights. And it was dreadful. You just felt completely raped, you know. I mean, 30 seconds before you were looking at the most handsome man in the world, this voice from the heavens, you know, and then all of a sudden you were looking at what looked like a refugee camp with ladies with makeup running down their face, just chaos, you know. Anyway, we all shuffled out of the casino, and I got outside, and my manager said, "Well, there you are, Greg, that was Elvis, you know." And you know, to be honest with you, I felt a bit depressed because I knew then that I would never be that good, you know. But I suppose you just have to accept who you are, and I accepted who I was in the end, and it didn't turn out too bad. So, thank you very much. I think you've either got to be very brave or very stupid to do an Elvis song, and I'm certainly not brave. Where I come from, in a little county called Dorset in England, they've got a saying, and it says, "Dorset born, Dorset bred, strong in the arm, but weak in the head." And so, bearing that in mind, I'd like to do a tribute to the King. And this is, I think, is the probably the greatest rock song ever written. It's called Heartbreak Hotel.
Yeah.
Well, since my baby left me, I found a new place to dwell. Well, it's down at the end of Lonely Street, that Heartbreak Hotel. You made me so, you made me so lonely. You made me so lonely. You made me so lonely, I could die. Well, though it's always crowded, you still can find some room for broken-hearted lovers to cry there in the gloom. You made me so lonely. You made me so lonely. You made me so lonely. Well, bellhops, tears keep falling. The desk clock's dressed in black. But they've been so long down Lonely Street, they never come back. You made me so lonely. You made me so lonely. You made me so lonely. Well, if your baby leaves you, you've had a sad tale to tell. Just take a walk down Lonely Street to Heartbreak Hotel. You made me so lonely. You made me so lonely. You made me so lonely. All right. You made me so lonely.